I wish I could give A pluses. A huge is,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the Trump era, we should have huge.
Yeah, at Fairbanks.
It's a
At,
huge A.
yeah, University of Fairbanks. Do they have pluses up there? Pluses and minuses? Honestly, I feel like they wouldn't like that.
I feel like it'd be a real bad.
Ooh, this is.
You did well.
Yeah. I mean, you get minus. Yeah.
It's good. You can
Yeah,
say, wait, like,
yeah.
you have to like move it over really far or like turn it. You actually want to see the board.
I don't know what people would really, how many people actually use that thing? We could look at them. Some people do. So,
Yeah, the people
I guess.
that never attended class.
Yeah, losers.
I wouldn't be
So you're gonna hear
surprised if
this
there were
and then
some
like,
folks that heard how I did things and signed up for
Sorry,
it
guys.
precisely because of that.
That's a good point.
Do you know anyone
I
that is still in the class but doesn't attend?
I just figured out how to edit on Wikipedia pages.
There are people
Really?
that, yeah, and lots of my classes.
No, I mean
And I
this
think-
one.
Oh, yeah, this class is still full.
Really?
But there's always a
No one-
bunch.
It's full.
It's a requirement for some communities.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this class.
That's what I'm here. What? I'm here to become a philosopher. I'm
Yeah,
not
me
with you
too.
all.
Have
Yeah,
positivity.
I was listening to all-
I need it because I can't
Then
get
I-
a bachelor's in
I
history.
ruined your
if I don't-
aspirations by pointing out you were a philosopher
Yeah.
by showing
When
up.
I go to law school, I have to have this class.
Yes. You also need logic. You have logic.
Wait, you have to take logic too? Oh,
Yeah,
right.
because you have to
Oh, wait, no, you
logic.
Well, if you
Well,
want to take
there's
the
a-
LSAT, you should take logic, because
Well, probably, but I haven't.
I had one student who took the LSAT after taking my logic class, and she replied and said that it helped her tremendously with,
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
so
That's
I can even give you her email address. She went on to law school, actually. So if you're interested, she lives in Eagle River. And is very active and would not hesitate to have conversation. And so somebody watched this one times 4, someone watched this one twice. But I know I'll watch part of it, or at least some of it, maybe all of it even. And so I'm usually one of the ones just to try to watch it.
That one only lasted 8 minutes.
Yeah, some of the, because of the batteries and things, sometimes it's way so let's get started. I have the camera on, I think. I should have it on. It should be. It should be working. So today we're talking about ontology.
Okay, this class is empty. Are you sure everyone's here?
Well, the camera's on, so everyone in a sense can be here even if they're not physically.
Yeah. Here in spirit.
Usually people are here pretty early, so I think it's pretty much not.
Yeah.
These are like the
And
second to
I
last.
don't mind people coming in
I
and
want
out.
to know your opinion on Oreos. You didn't answer the
I
question.
think it's a sacred American institution, and I can't believe that they've been attacked by some group of heretics that are messing with this absolutely perfect cookie and creating dozens of different. Japan has like a sushi cookie or something, an Oreo. I mean, there's just
It's disgusting.
the kinds of things that they're making.
What about putting original Oreos in other things, like an Oreo McFlurry?
That's perfectly fine. That doesn't change the character of the Oreo.
Is Jello an American tradition or anything as well?
Oh, that was silly.
As opposed to the Oreo question, I mean.
I'm sorry, this this Facebook thing that's constantly.
Now, come on, Elijah, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, come on now. Jello, are you serious? Well, I'm just thinking Jello, you know. It's in the 1940s.
Well, what would you say is the original flavor of Jell-O?
Cherry. Or the strawberry. Red one.
My green one, I put it.
I don't know. I
They're
think
probably trying to make a weapon, and they're like, this is pretty good. This is gasoline.
And are you
Yeah.
You know, is that Brittany there? Or is that someone else that, and Brittany posted that?
I don't know. who
Anybody know
is.
Brittany Bennett?
Sorry.
She went on to University of Michigan for law, I believe. Brett, maybe she went to, I forget, Brett, there's so many folks that graduate and go on to law. I get confused where they went. I lost it. I don't know what happened to it. We can do it this way though.
Oh. That is pretty sad.
I don't see.
List of Oreo.
It's,
Green tea.
I don't know, but there's some absolutely crazy Japanese ones.
If you use Control F, you could type sushi. It would find it.
Cherry cola.
Oreo. What?
The cherry cola one pops like one of them. It's like you put it in and it like yeah.
Really? It's
Pop
kind of like
out
the
weird.
firework
Which, by the way, dogs don't like.
one. Why?
They don't like that in their mouth.
How did you figure that out?
Are you telling me
I
you
asked
bought off-brand Oreos?
I guess. Well, I had to come to the conclusion that this is evil
Right. But you only bought like
by discovery, right?
Yeah,
you
you didn't
can't
buy
just
like more than one bag, right?
I've tried different colored ones, you know, when they first came out, I said, oh, let's try that, you know, and then gradually came to realize this is just a corruption of this American ideal cookie. You know, it's, okay. So, Amy, we were talking about Amy, and she references Quine, which is why I put him up there. I don't know if you followed up on her, if you look around and see what other things she has. But one of these I found that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what drew me to metaphysics, apart from some very good classes I had when I was a graduate student. I guess I really started off more interested in the metaphysics of works of art, literature, fictional characters, and so on, and then just gradually got pushed back further and further to issues, to more general issues in metaphysics, and to issues eventually in metametaphysics. I mean, I guess part of what I find wonderful or fascinating about metaphysics is its inexhaustibility. And this is something that I've been trying to, with my sort of meta-ontology, find a way to preserve and give credit to. So I have this recent book, Ontology Made Easy, which makes it sound like, oh, it's just, 5 units and it's done. And part of what I've been trying to capture since then is to show how we can recapture a sense of the difficulty, the inexhaustibility, the sort of eternal unsettledness of metaphysical debates, but now by reconceiving them as essentially conceptual debates, that is, debates about what kind of conceptual scheme we ought to use for the various and evolving purposes we have in a changeable and evolving world. So that's the way in which I think I want to try to recapture that kind of inexhaustibility that draws a lot of people to metaphysics. And it's also a way of finding it not frustrating. It's not that there's these questions and, oh, we'll never know the answer, so we have to give up. It's, there's these conceptual choices we just have to keep making and remaking and reconfiguring as we go on in the world and the world develops, and we have to keep at it, right? But it's not a matter that, oh, we should just give up because it's so hard.
Maybe you could tell us something about metaphysics that frustrates you.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm really a critic of a lot of recent metaphysical practice. Try to put it as briefly as possible. I think part of where metaphysics has gone wrong post-Quine is in thinking of it as a task sort of analogous to the natural sciences, as if when we're trying to do metaphysics, we're trying to discover sort of deep truths about the way the world is in ways analogous to the ways the sciences do. And I think this often really leads us astray about what we can know and how we can know it and what the appropriate methods are in metaphysics. So because of that, I end up thinking and sort of arguing in various places that a lot of prominent arguments given for a lot of prominent positions, especially revisionist or eliminative positions that would say, oh, really, there are no ordinary objects, or there are no numbers, or that a revisionary description about like the works of art are types of action rather than, in the case of paintings, things you can hang on the wall. A lot of arguments for these positions are fundamentally misguided in ways that you can only see when you reach back to the kind of methodological issues I've been engaging in. But then if you do come to that point of view that I've come to, then you do end up seeing a lot of recent metaphysical work has just gone wrong and misguided, and therefore, you know, a lot of smart people who've been spending their time on things that aren't going to be headed in the right direction.
Was there anything in particular that you think of metaphysics?
Sorry about that. So she's cooled it. She's actually got 3 books now. Fiction and metaphysics looks pretty interesting. Actually, all 3 look interesting. Just something on Quine. When I was in college, Professor Quine came and gave a lecture at my university, and his topic that particular day was what mathematical logician's job was, and because that's what really he was. He was a philosopher, you know, he was in philosophy, but his specific area of expertise was in mathematical logic. And what was his main concern, at least in the lecture, and that was helping physicists describe what they were doing. So physicists are at the point where, or at least then, they were at the point, and I think they still have problems, is having trouble using language to describe the mathematical things that they're working with. And part of the problem was that our language uses nouns. You notice your sentences, unless you're President Trump, require nouns for you to make a full statement, right? And what is a noun? You know, a noun is something that basically has to fit your ontology, right? Ontology means what there is, right? The study of what there is. And we already discussed that just recently when we were talking about